Hi everyone, I am back and I have a pretty straightforward reading for you. Well, I guess it depends on how it's received. Some of the themes in this really call for us to have patience and to dig deep. And although it is a general message, it can really apply to many different areas in your life, different areas than from one person to the next. So ultimately, this, I guess I could sum it up as self reflection, ultimately, is going to be the way out of what you might be going through right now. So I'm going to get started. I didn't pull from all the usual decks, but the majority of them, I was just led to pull from certain ones and others. So we will get started, and we are starting with the map deck, and the first card is the Magic Prayer in reverse. And what this card stands for is having an understanding that your specific plan, the idea you have in your head, the steps to take, the path to take to get to any specific need or goal is not necessarily the only path. So your way and the picture you put inside of that you have inside of your mind about how something is supposed to happen or appear or manifest in your life might not be the way that it should. So it's important to practice a level of detachment and inquiry from the things we are really, really, really clinging tightly to and really wanting, and understanding that what we're looking for can come to us in a different way than we expect. So we're looking in one direction and what we're wanting might be behind us or right next to us, or not there yet, but you don't see it coming because you're so tightly held to the idea of how this is all supposed to go down in your life. So just please, say a prayer or sit with yourself and just pray for your highest good, for things to unfold in a way that is best suited for you, and understand that it might not be what you have in mind precisely. Okay? And the next card is Sacred Pool. Sacred Pool is all about reflection. Taking a look at yourself and identifying any areas where there might be weakness in your self-esteem, how you feel about yourself, how you regard yourself, how you present yourself to the world. Just doing a self-analysis, really digging deep and working on your self-care. Are you being honest with yourself? Are you meeting your personal commitments? See, the term self-care gets tossed around a lot. And I feel like in a lot of cases, it takes on this whole idea of, well, I got my hair done or my nails done, or I went to the gym, I changed my diet, I went out and I had dinner, self-care. And yeah, I mean, that applies. But there's another element of self-care that is very spiritual, very emotional, very internal. And that is doing things that matter to you, for you, working on your inner child, working on your personal healing, not breaking promises to yourself, not overextending yourself, not putting yourself last. Like, there are other things that are self-care related. So take the time to really think about, are you being nice to yourself? Are you being kind to yourself? Are you valuing yourself? What are the stories you're telling yourself about yourself? What are you saying? Is it positive? Do you have self-deprecating humor about yourself? Or are you lifting yourself up? Think about it. Oftentimes we look outside of us for praise, whether it's in our career, whether it's from our peers, our lovers, our family, online, strangers. But really, are you saying nice things about yourself? Think about that, okay? And last card for map deck is the Deep Freeze in reverse. If you're hitting a brick wall right now, or you're worn down, exhausted, tired, can't handle it, chill out. That's what this card is, chill out. If you are trying to push yourself and you don't feel up for the task, it's time to take a step back. It's time to take a pause, a pregnant pause over the course of the winter so you can give birth to something meaningful for yourself and your life in a different season. So this might not be the season where you come out. You might be exhausted from this year. You might be exhausted simply because of the time of year that it is. It could be a lot of things that this can be in reference to. But if you continue to try to push and you're depleted, that can be harmful. So if you need the break, take the break. If you got to cancel those plans, cancel the plans. If you got to reschedule, reschedule. If you can't take it on, communicate that. Deep freeze. Okay. So from the love deck, we got the void. And I have to say that the void is, wow, it's the favorite card that I did pull today. And I find it to be the most deep, because what this card is conveying is, in any area of your life, you might be in a place where you don't know what's going to happen next. Maybe you feel a disconnect. Maybe you're not sure. Maybe you're waiting for something. Maybe you want to know what's on the other side and you are getting no signs, no indications. Maybe you're trying to push forth a relationship, and this is specific to this card. It can be a spiritual relationship when you're trying to constantly connect with the divine, or it can be a physical relationship with a beloved, a lover. And I'm going to go through this from both of those angles. Sometimes you might feel a void spiritually and not know where to go. Like when you rely on spirit for your day-to-day, like if you pray every day, or you meditate every day, you're doing a lot of spiritual practices and you're doing all the things, you're clearing your energy, shielding, and you're wearing the crystals, you're carrying them, you're taking the salt baths, and you're doing the rituals, whatever it means to you. You're practicing your yoga, your qigong, your acupuncture, doing a lot of things, right? To maintain. But then eventually, maybe you feel that things are not happening for you, or you feel a disconnect, you feel a void. In my experience, when I felt like that, it meant that it was time for me to take action or to wait. So, and there's nothing wrong with waiting. When you're working to manifest and to have things blossom in your life, it's like planting seeds. You have to let them germinate and everything before they blossom into the fruit that you're looking for. So that could be where you are spiritually. If you feel a disconnect, if you feel void, it's time to take some time to wait for the answers to some of your questions to happen, to come to fruition. So that's from that angle. The other angle is about, a relationship, a beloved. You might be in a place where maybe you met someone and you thought this is phenomenal, but then things started not going in the way that you were expecting it to. And it's kind of like you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what the outcome is going to be, and you feel anxious and you want to figure it out. This card is saying to just focus on what you see right now. Focus on what's happening in your life right now. Avoid trying to push or cajole any situation in the way that you want it to go. Remember the first card that I pulled. The way you think it should unfold may not necessarily be it. There might be other plans in the mix. So in the interim, whether you are facing any kind of void, whether it's spiritual or it's tangible in terms of a relationship, do what you can. Step away from what you can't. Focus on what's in front of you now. Avoid trying to jump ahead. Watch out for the stories you tell, the things you make up about where you are right now, and just sit into it and feel and let it ride. Eventually, there will be a reconnection of some sort. There will be an answer eventually. So for now, focus on the here and now and a present moment, because all voids end at some point. Okay? And now we're moving into the Keepers of the Light deck. I pulled actually 2 cards from the Keepers of the Light deck. And the first one is Commander Ashtar. And what this card is about is being the change you want to see. Showing up, showing out, taking actions in your life to enact change. Command yourself and your life. So take the steps to go in a direction of where you want to go. Actions must be in alignment with your values. Focus on that. Even if you are in a place, a void, where you can't take steps, you're on a deep freeze. This is not about just going out and doing things just because. Action also includes planning. It also includes setting your intention. It's still an action. So keep that in mind. You want something? Okay. Or do you not know what you want? If you don't know what you want, you got to figure out what you want. And then when you figure out what you want, you've got to think about how you can try to make that happen. What things you can do differently in your life to bring it closer towards you, but without being held to one specific way. You have to be open, but you also have to uncover all of the rocks and the roadblocks that could be preventing you from getting what it is that you're looking for. So you can take actions in that area. And the other card is Life Force. Kyrunos. And this is about your life force energy. Everything you're cultivating inside and being able to use that to your, for your manifestation, using it for your benefit, using it to influence the world, and also channeling it appropriately. So this card is just not about life force energy in general. It also refers to the use of our sexual energies. Are you blocked sexually? Are you repressed? Are you in some way affecting the flow of this kind of energy in yourself and in your life? And if you are uncomfortable on the subject, you can certainly meditate on it, pray on it, anything that you need to do to help you figure out what might be lacking in that area or where balance might be needed. This is a card of fertility, in a sense, blossoming, growing, blooming, and that occurs when there's a free energetic flow about yourself, and then when you manifest that and track that in your life. Okay, so consider that. And then the last card I got is a healing card, and it is all about triggers. So what triggers is, there are things that have happened in our lives, traumas, experiences, things that we might not never want to live through again. And then we fast forward to the present, and we might see something that's similar happening, unfolding in front of our eyes. And it takes us back to that trigger and brings it up again. And that might feel hard. We might feel like we need to make rash decisions, jump to conclusions, feel like we're repeating the same cycle, which is a possibility that you might not want to rule out. But sometimes we're actually not in the same pattern. What happens is things will look like it's similar to something that happened to us in the past that was traumatic, just to give us an opportunity to finally move past that trauma, or just to give us an opportunity to react in a different way. So if you see similarities, if you see patterns in your life with actions, occurrences that are happening in your present, remind you of your past, think about how you reacted in the past. Analyze if that worked. Did it serve you? Did you explore the full breadth and depth of the situation before making any decisions, before taking any actions? And if you didn't, something similar coming into your life now is just an opportunity for you to reanalyze and to learn more about yourself and to maybe make a different choice. So keep that in mind. So, like I was saying when I started the reading, all of these cards point back to a level of self-reflection and analysis and taking the time, committing the time to do so. And that could mean cutting back on some of the things that you might be doing that are outside of yourself. That could mean pitching in to help less. I was online and I'm seeing a couple of these themes coming up, and one that stuck out to me was helping others can be like a procrastination for our own growth, our own lives. Because if we take ourselves away from ourselves to continuously focus on others without sitting with ourselves, we are ignoring the things that we could be doing to progress and for our own growth in different areas. So you can keep that in mind. You can apply the same thing to trauma. There's been a lot of trauma this year, and a lot of highs, a lot of lows this year with a lot of people that I know. And grieving, happening, necessary, giving our condolences to others, supporting them through hard times, all very important things. But we've got to be careful to when we absorb so much trauma to the point where we're living in that trauma versus focusing on what we must do for ourselves. And that is a deflection. It is also a potential procrastination. So be sure to identify in your life where you draw the line between supporting anything outside of yourself and the support you give yourself. This is where you have to find a balance. And if your cup is feeling depleted, take the time to fill it up. If your cup feels polluted, dump it out, start fresh. But remember, giving from an empty cup continues to deplete you. And if you don't have it, it's okay. Just be sure to work on all the things that serve you so that you can replenish. And this is the season to do it. And that replenishment can mean isolation. That replenishment can mean being more social. If you felt like you've been isolated already and you want to get out and, get a boost from the people who care about you, go for it. But regardless of the case, it must be true to you in order to be effective. All right? So I got one last thing and I will let you all go. Thank you for hanging around with me this long, if you have. And it is the universe got your back. So I'm just going to pull just, one card from here, our last message. And I hope to see you all soon. And let's see what we got. Universe has got your back. Okay. Owl. It's lovely. I do whatever it takes to get closer to consciousness. You want to get closer to consciousness? Self-reflection. All right. Thanks, everyone. Namaste.